All right, welcome to News 6 Extra. I am Christopher Heath. It is Tuesday, October the 28th, the final week of October. And Kathleen, I got to tell you, this year is clipping by. You blink and you miss it. I mean, this time next week, we're in November.
I know.
And
It's really crazy.
Just, it seems like the other day it was like middle of the summer. We were, grilling out for 4th of July and everything else. And now it's got a cold front coming through.
I know.
Hurricane season's winding down. We're almost to Halloween. And then, it's just years blink and you miss it.
I know. I was already thinking about holiday gifts and everything like that because it's going to sneak up really quick.
It is. Speaking of sneaking up, guess what we have happening next week?
What's that?
Open enrollment. It's
that's
the time
right.
when
That's
HR
right.
ventures back into your life and says to you, Kathleen, have you made any life changes? And you're like, damn, I should have done more at the last year of my life. If I've not made any life changes.
I know.
No, I'm the same as I ever was.
No life changes. No, and then if you do the little tutorial, little aid there that they have, they'll ask you how many surgeries do you expect this year? And it's like, well, hopefully none. But yeah, but you're right. I totally forgot. Thank you for the reminder.
We do.
Open
The
enrollment.
posters up. Yes, we have open enrollment as I think most companies will be doing open enrollment, and
Right.
that's when you find out exactly what your health care is going to look like and all that other fun adult stuff that nobody tells you about when you're in high school. They're like, oh, you're going to be an adult soon. It's so wonderful. And there's this thing called open enrollment.
Right. Well, I have a kind of my mom's an insurance agent, a licensed insurance agent. So I can just call her when I don't understand something and she'll break it down where I can understand it.
See, and I have I hand the stuff to my wife and I'm like, you know this, just go. And she's like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. And Ben needs glasses, so we're going to do vision plan. It's like,
Right.
okay, cool. We're set. So, yes, next
There you
week
go.
starts open enrollment. I will remind you again on Monday.
Oh, please do.
Yes, well, and I will, and corporate will, and there'll be meetings dropped into your Outlook calendar that you did not authorize that will be there anyway. So that'll all be super fun. Anyway, speaking of super fun, we have good weather headed our way. Nice, cool weather's headed our way.
Yes. I cannot
Just
wait.
in time. I know. I'm so ready for. It's not sweatshirt weather yet, but it's close. You can
Yes.
feel it. You can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord! All right, let's get David Nazario in here with your full weather forecast, including a look at what's going on out in the tropics. Here's David.
Central Florida is finally off to a better start this morning as the cold front that wreaked havoc on us for all intents and purposes late on Sunday and through much of the day yesterday has finally pushed downstream off to our east, welcoming in more comfortable temperatures, a lot less humidity, and way lower chances that we see any rainfall anytime soon. So let's get you some of your weather headlines. This is the story for the week remaining. The first front is through, and so the rains are going to drop significantly around here. There could be a slight uptick as we go through the day late Wednesday into your Thursday, but that's when the big-time Halloween cool down is forecast to begin and last through the weekend and maybe even the foreseeable future. Now, one thing I do want to touch on almost immediately is Melissa. I'm going to change the tone almost entirely as well because we have a dire situation taking shape down there for our neighbors in Jamaica as of this afternoon. You can see per the latest as of 11 o'clock, this is actually a 10 a.m. advisory, updating as we speak to the 11 o'clock information. National Hurricane Center has found support for a 185-mile-an-hour sustained Category 5 as we begin the landfall process in the southwest quadrant of the island of Jamaica. Central pressure has continued to drop, surprisingly, despite the final approach to landfall, now down to 892 millibars, making this one of the strongest hurricanes we've probably ever seen across the Atlantic basin throughout a hurricane season, and unfortunately the folks down there are going to receive it. The only bit of positivity I can bring to light at this time is the fact that the mountainous terrain out there will help to shred that low-level circulation, the bottommost layers of the storm, and as a result, as it passes through Jamaica and then turns its attention to Cuba, the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas, it shouldn't really have an opportunity to get back on its feet. So hopefully we see it diminish quickly as it moves inland, and those folks out there stay safe and stay sheltered in place, the most reinforced portions of their homes, their buildings, wherever it is they've found shelter, because they are going to be rocking for the next 12 to 18 hours. Turning our attention back home to the state of Florida as we take one last look at Melissa, just taking a look at the perfect symmetry in that buzzsaw-like system. You can see over here we've got a front that's moved through and dry air coming in the nick of time, because if that system wasn't there, folks, I will openly tell you this system would be ours. Hurricane Melissa would definitely be ours. Turns out that cutoff system that's driving our temperatures down and reducing our rain chances was just there in the nick of time, unfortunately pushing this into Jamaica, but keeping it away from the rest of us here in the United States. And then that next feature upstream back behind it over Texas, moving through portions of Louisiana, Arkansas right now. That's the big one that's really going to drop our temperatures as we go through Thursday and the rest of the week. Outside right now, you can see anywhere but from the mid-60s to the mid-70s across our area, depending on where you go and where we're getting some of that cold air seepage behind that frontal feature. And you can see that today's warm temperatures, high temperatures, I should say, are going to be very, very mild. Some of the even chillier temps hanging out in northern Florida, all thanks to that cold front. Now, because of that as well, and the gradient of winds around Melissa as it pulls northward, we're going to get pretty breezy here in central Florida over the next several days. But when I take you over to the clouds and rain model, albeit this model didn't do too well with our Sunday shenanigans, you can see as we go through late Wednesday into Thursday, that band comes across. That is our next front, and you can see winds just yanking out of the north and west as a result of all that cold air coming down. That's really going to chill us out as we go through Thursday, Halloween, and then the first couple days of November, with Climate Prediction Center keeping us below average in terms of our temperatures all the way to about the midsections of November. This is exciting to me. You look at the temperature trend, and for the next 7 days, we are going to remain below average in terms of our afternoon high temperatures, and then these wake-up temperatures look spectacular, especially considering right now we got to take full advantage of the wonderful weather we're going to be having around here and sending all of our thoughts and positive vibes down to the south for our Caribbean friends who are having to deal with Melissa's onslaught. We'll go ahead and wrap up looking at our 7-day forecast. Really didn't have too much to talk to you about today because the headline for Central Florida is going to be dry conditions and cold weather coming on in. You can see those high temps for Thursday and Friday topping out in the low to mid 70s with wake-up temperatures trying to flirt with the upper 40s. I do think we have the potential to see some upper 40-degree morning temperatures, especially the further north you go for Alachua and Marion counties, maybe even as far south as Flagler and Volusia, despite being right up against the East Coast with those warm waters just offshore.
All right, that was David Nazario. And Kathleen, this morning, Candace was going over some of what we're about to talk about here, and this is Hurricane Melissa. And she was talking about how, like, this first of all, it hadn't had an eye wall replacement. Having been in Florida for the last decade or so, I've heard that term a bunch, but she really explained it. She's like, you see a top spinning, and it kind of loses its wobble and then reestablishes itself. She's like, that's kind of what that is. She's like, they were thinking that would happen right before Melissa hit Jamaica. It didn't happen, which means that the winds have gone from 150 miles an hour, which is Cat 5, up to 185 miles an hour, which is still Cat 5. And she was kind of getting into the whole, there's no Cat 6. Like, once you hit Cat 5, it just keeps going up, but you're still in Cat 5 because Cat 5 is all about the damage it's going to do. And at a certain point, like, there's no point in having a Cat 6. Cat 5 is going to wipe everything out. There's no point in going up beyond that. And to start to look at some of these pictures coming in, it is incredible what we're seeing.
I can't even fathom 185-mile-hour winds, and that's the sustained winds, but the gusts are even higher. Like, I feel so bad for those in Jamaica right now.
Yeah, and it looks like what we'll have is this will landfall in Jamaica. It'll cross over and then landfall a second time in Cuba. Now, it'll be significantly weakened having gone across the landmass. But this thing is so big and so massive, and we have such a large Jamaican population here in Central Florida. And I know a lot of them have started putting together food and aid drives and started to prepare for what's on the back end, because we do know there will be a back end to this. So just kind of, keeping an eye on this as it comes through. I believe our story today is from Jason Al with CBS. He's down in Kingston, where residents are bracing for Melissa as it is now making landfall. Here's the story.
Pretty gusty, pretty windy. Jamaica's shoreline is being overwhelmed with winds gusting more than 60 miles per hour, dangerous flooding, and storm surge projected up to 13 feet as Hurricane Melissa thrashes the island. Inside the storm Monday, hurricane hunters from NOAA were forced to abort their data collecting mission because of severe turbulence. This video shows what crews were able to capture before the scrapped flight. On the ground, mandatory evacuations forced hundreds into shelters.
We're all battened down and locked up. The thing that concerns us the most is mostly just the wind and the rain.
Those dangerous conditions closed Jamaica's airports when Melissa was approaching, leaving many vacationers stranded until the historic storm passes through the Caribbean.
We're trying to be as prepared as we can.
Bridget and Wayne Todd are in Jamaica on their honeymoon. The North Carolina couple has experienced hurricanes in the U.S. before, but say those are no match for Melissa.
We've never had one to this level. My biggest concern is really just the damage it'll do afterwards and us being stranded out here for possible weeks.
Yeah, when this storm just skirted by Haiti and the Dominican Republic, at least 4 people were killed. This one's going to make direct impact on Jamaica. And we know in the days leading up to the storm, the government has said already they know of 3 deaths that are related to this. That was mostly from people who were out cutting trees or trying to remove tree limbs. And there were many people injured falling off of rooftops in preparation for this storm. They are telling people right now, even in Kingston, where the wind is down and the rain is down right now, stay inside until this storm passes by the island. Jason Allen, CBS News in Kingston, Jamaica.
Well, back here in Central Florida, obviously we are keeping an eye on Melissa, and cleanup also, both out in the northern Brevard County area near Titusville, as well as in Lake County. Both areas seeing just a deluge Sunday night into Monday. Areas seeing in just a couple of hours more than a foot of rainfall, and there's just nothing that you can do to handle that. And while we have started to see some of the progress in reopening roads, some are going to take weeks, months, maybe even longer to fix. As Mark Lehman explains, the county is now trying to prioritize its resources and do what it can to get everything back to normal.
County leaders taking a look at what fixes need to happen to several roads washed out in Sunday's storm. A big focus was here off of Wolf Branch and another nearby road, which are suffering from lingering impacts from Hurricane Milton.
This time the water actually got up on top and it went over Wolf Branch.
In the first meeting since Sunday's storm washed away roads in Lake County, commissioners discussed what steps need to be taken in several spots. A priority is Wolf Branch Road.
We do want to get it open quickly. However, we are looking at long-term fixes that can stabilize that entire section.
The road's seen a lot of the same damage that happened after Hurricane Milton, which people living nearby say has been frustrating.
This never was a problem. This is the first time ever in 12 months we've had this go on twice.
Chad Fuller says he's hoping the county takes an in-depth look at both short and long-term solutions.
And this needs to be we need to do a lot better job of thinking through the engineering of water and retention ponds, depth of retention ponds.
A fix could also be coming to nearby Britt Road. It's been damaged for more than a year, but after securing land and grant money, the county is moving forward with a plan. Fuller says he's eager to see work happening on both roads and hopeful for progress.
This is tough now because this is big, and Britt Road's been closed for a year.
The county says prior to Sunday's storm, they hired an engineering company to design an advanced stormwater system, and they're hoping to discuss the results of that at their next meeting. Meanwhile, a lot of work still needs to happen here off of Wolf Branch Road, and at least the temporary fixes will happen over the next several weeks. For now, reporting in Lake County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Of course, we'll stay on top of both what's going on out in Brevard County as well as Lake County as those two communities start to recover from just Sunday night's torrential downpours. All right, stay with us. We're going to talk about foreclosures, rats, and jackpots. It's on the other side of this. Stay with us. Two numbers we're keeping an eye on these days. One is foreclosure rates, the other is bankruptcies. Both of those have gone up significantly, especially in Florida, in the last year and a half. And of course, the backdrop to all of this is my favorite hobby horse. Our government is still currently shut down. We've had 11 government shutdowns since 1981, the longest of which was back in 2018/2019, because it started in December and went on into January. That was 34 days. That was that one. Now we're on day 28. The House is still not in session. They gavel in, they gavel out. There's no session. They haven't had a vote since September, and the Senate is kind of spinning its wheels. We keep hearing that there's conversations being had, but nope, the government is still shut down. Now, where this starts to matter is that today is the first day that TSA and air traffic controllers and everybody else is missing a full paycheck. Some got a partial paycheck, but now full paychecks are just not, there's nothing there. And they're still being asked to come to work. And as we saw with what's happening, here in Central Florida with the damage done by just one night of really bad storms, there's still a need for the federal government to do things. And FEMA is one of those agencies that most of it is being told you're working without pay. So FEMA's still there, but government's not working, not doing anything. The House isn't even in session. Most of them have been, back in their districts or on vacation for the last 2 months. And meanwhile, that's what's happening. So as I was saying, foreclosure rates are up 20% compared to this time last year. Florida, once again, has the highest foreclosure rates in the country. If this sounds familiar, you may remember back to the early part of this century when Florida led the nation in foreclosures. Of course, that was right before the subprime bubble burst. We don't have those same things happening now, but definitely a very concerning problem for the Sunshine State and the United States in general. As Christian Benavides explains, Florida is often the canary in the coal mine.
This house is one of realtor Emily Odak's half-dozen foreclosure listings in South Florida, and more are in the pipeline.
We have properties that are behind the scenes that are about to become foreclosures, that are pre-foreclosures, that we are currently watching or may be in default.
Adam, a provider of nationwide property data, reported more than 35,000 foreclosure filings around the country in September.
When people aren't paying their mortgage per se, that indicates something broader in the market for us.
Foreclosure rates are up 20% compared to a year ago, and nowhere more so than Florida. Nevada also made the top 3. Both states were popular relocation areas during the pandemic.
What we don't know is if the folks that maybe were moving there for remote work during the COVID era are starting to see distress or not. But typically, it's older homes that are just going through traditional foreclosure processes.
The high cost of home insurance and rising HOA fees for condos are driving up prices for Florida homeowners, increasing the risk of foreclosures here.
Especially because of the Surfside tragedy. The city comes in, they check out the whole building for the past 30 years, what needed to be fixed, what needs to be fixed, and then they go and allocate special assessments to the homeowners. Maybe a $1,500 extra a month.
Despite drawing some comparisons to the 2008 housing crash fueled by high-risk mortgages, real estate experts don't expect a repeat. Odak says it is still the right time to buy for somebody. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Coral Springs, Florida.
A lot of those special assessments for condos, those were in place 20, 30 years ago. The legislature actually passed that to be in there. They would have to have these assessments done. The lawmaker who helped spearhead that and get that passed, he ran up against term limits as soon as he was out of the legislature. The condo associations came in and said, we don't like these because our residents don't like having to pay more, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what happens is they stop doing assessments, things stop getting fixed, and then we have Surfside happen, and suddenly we have to do the assessments again. And a lot of things that had gone on the back burner suddenly have to now get fixed, and a lot of condo owners that had been kicking the can down the road, well, that bill eventually comes due. So we'll see what happens here in the wonderful Sunshine State. Okay, from the Sunshine State to the Empire State, Excelsior. New York City is embracing one of its unofficial mascots, the rat, giving rat tours, so to speak. You can go and you can check it out. And as Jared Hill explains, it's all about trying to help the rodent population. Here it is.
In a city of bright lights and big buildings,
does anyone want to see rats?
Suzanne Reisman focuses on New York's less desirable attractions.
This is an extensive rat burrow.
Equipped with her furry ears,
I am also a graduate of the New York City Rat Academy.
it's Reisman's business to point out what's lurking in the Big Apple's dirty underbelly.
There are a couple of facts that may give you nightmares by the end.
The tour isn't just gross. She says it's an opportunity for education.
If we could clean up our acts on garbage, we really wouldn't have as many rats.
Recent research shows rat populations spiking in cities across the country, growing their ranks in denser human living conditions with less vegetation and warmer winters.
That gives rats a little bit longer time to stay above ground and to forage and get more food and maybe squeeze out another reproductive cycle or two.
While the climate is a daunting challenge,
The containers also are making a big difference in our rats.
Reisman points to simple things people and cities can do to curb the rodents, like tossing that empty bag of chips in the trash.
The rat can go right inside and just lick out the grease, and that's perfect food for it.
Turns out there's no limit to how low some rats will go.
This is our spontaneous dog poop stop.
She calls them rat snacks.
When people don't clean up their dog poop, not only is it unhygienic and disgusting in general, but they leave food for rats.
All food for thought for folks like Bob Nanny visiting from Cleveland.
It's a different part of the history of New York, which is nice to see.
Residents wouldn't mind seeing a little less. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Kathleen, rats. See, you see a rat, I see a hardworking father just trying to take care of 4 teenage mutant ninja turtles.
Right. I want to know who's signing up for these rat tours, because there's no way I would do that.
Listen, it's a city of 18 million people. There's a market for that, 100%. My wife always wants to go on the ghost tours. I see no value in that, but she wants to go to this. People want tours of weird things. That's a very weird thing. And listen, if you can, it's kind of like we do here. We constantly telling people, when it comes to the Florida black bears, your trash can, if you're near a wooded area, needs to be secure. Don't, keep them in your garage right up until collection day, and then make sure it's secure. Don't leave stuff out there because the bears can smell that. And it's the same thing with the rats. You're never going to get rid of the rats.
No.
But what you can do is make it a lot harder for them to have an easy lifestyle. The more concerning thing to me was the gentleman talking about, the warmer weather due to climate change, giving them one more reproductive cycle. It's a lot of baby rats out there.
I know. That's the thing. They reproduce very fast, and a lot of them. So
yes,
no. I know. Seeing all the video of the rats just scurrying, it's
Now, in domesticated, they're supposed to be wonderful pets, very smart, very clean. But that's going to be the one that you're taking care of and loving, and you've named it maybe it Sparkles or something wonderful, and given it a backstory. That is that's a pet rat versus these are the sewer vermin.
Right. And they carry diseases and no. But
Now,
I've heard people who have had rats as pets, and they say that they're wonderful pets, but no way.
If you go down to New Orleans and go along the canals down there, you can see the sheriff's office and others will be out there shooting, basically, the nutrient, which is a kind of big, greasy rodent thing that is invasive down there. And they'll just go down there and it's insane to watch this happen. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So, good times in the Big Easy, from the Big Apple to the Big Easy. All right. Speaking of big, $714 million. This is the Mega Millions jackpot. Prize has been climbing since June. It's now the 9th largest in the game's history. There it is. There's somebody filling out a winning card. Okay, so I love how we always put this in here. The one-time cash payout would be $334 million. And then you have to hear people like myself bemoans like, oh, look at all that you'd have to spend in taxes. It's $714 million. You're getting more than half of it in just cash. Pump the brakes on the outrage. But yes, $334 million. Your odds of winning the jackpot, 1 in 290 million, which is, essentially your same odds of walking out of the station today and getting hit in the head by falling aircraft parts and dying. Same basic odds. So.
That's true. But if you don't play, you don't even have that chance. So I don't think it's quite high enough yet for me.
Yes. Kathleen notoriously does not get out of bed for under
No.
$750 million. 714. You come find me when you tack on another 36 million to that.
Yeah. Then maybe I'll play.
You will deign them with your presence. Yes, I'll buy one of your tickets. Yeah, I think you can count on one hand the number of lottery tickets I've bought in my lifetime. It's just I do not see the value in it. But then again, listen, I do plenty of other dumb stuff with my money, so who the hell knows?
Everybody's got their thing, but I very rarely buy them. Unless it's like really, if it's like $1 billion or over $1 billion, then I'm like, okay, I'll try then.
Yeah, well, drawing's coming up, 714 million. Everybody's going to be super excited, and then it'll go back down. It'll come back up, and then you and I will be sitting here, and I'll be like, oh, there's another drawing, Kathleen, and this one. And
right.
I hate this story. John Ambrone, our morning EP, will tell you every time we do a lottery story, I'm like, I don't like lottery stories.
So
I do not like them.
You don't like the reporters going and asking people what they do with the money and the...
It's functionally the same story every time. How is it any different? It's like, what do you think? What are you going to do if you win? I get that it's interesting, but I just feel like it's repetitive. But that's...
No, I hear you. It is kind of... I actually contemplated not putting this in, and I was like, okay.
No. I want to have something for Chris to get pissed off at about the end. Just let him just really go to town on something. We'll do the rat story, and then we'll pivot straight into lottery.
Right. And then somewhere we'll get in the shutdown,
Yes, government shutdown. And then my other favorite is holiday travel, And we're going to, listen, you do them because holiday travel is a big thing. But,
right.
You go out to the airport and you ask people, how are you doing? It's holiday travel. It's the same. I don't know.
No, I hear you. I agree. It kind of is, yes.
So to our viewers who have stuck around to listen to me rant about the things I don't like, thank you. Thank you so much for watching this. All right, Kathleen, thank you as always for your hard work on putting this show together. We'll do it again tomorrow, but not the day after because you will be off. So I will be here with Penny.
Yes, Penny is ready to go.
I'm sure she's super excited. So anyway, thank you to David Azario for the weather. And of course, thank you for watching. We'll be back here tomorrow to do this all over again at 12:30. Of course, we break news all the time on clickorlando.com. We'll be on the air today starting at 4:00 with the very latest on the recovery efforts in both Brevard County as well as Lake County. So we'll see you on air starting for News 6 at 4. Otherwise, I'll see you back here tomorrow at 12:30. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Bye.